When emergency first responders were overwhelmed by Los Angeles County's most destructive fire yet, a band of surfers, along with their neighbors and friends, stepped up to defend their home turf in Malibu. Their devotion to home drove them to show up for their community during the fire and for years afterward. And now, a model they call the Community Brigade program could change everything, leading to more lives and more homes saved during the increasing wildfires across not just California, but the world. Join reporter Adriana Cargill from KCRW, NPR's All Things Considered, Crooked Media, and more, as she investigates a wildfire story that is not depressing, but is, in fact, a clear hope for the future. Listen now to Sandcastles, an award-winning podcast about home, how we create it, and why we fight so hard for it. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Important Not Important. I hope you're all safe and sound out there. We are almost out of this thing. I'm Quinn Emmett, and this is our latest in our Do Better, Better series of essays, and they're crafted to help you think more clearly about the future today. If you are new to our community, these essays complement the audio version of our weekly newsletter that drops on Fridays, and of course, our critically acclaimed conversations with diverse, interdisciplinary humans all working on the front lines of the future. We are so grateful to have you as part of our community. This is science for people who give a shit. We are so pumped to have you alongside us working on the world's biggest problems and opportunities. A reminder, you can get these essays, our newsletter, and more right in your inbox at importantnotimportant.com. And you can also send us feedback at questions@importantnotimportant.com. You can send us an email, or you can record a voice memo and send it our way. This is Do Better, Better number 16. The hard work starts yesterday. The Texas energy grid failed not just because it wasn't built for a freak winter storm, which it was, but because it is emblematic of the way our lizard brains conduct business. We have in every election, in every state, and with every opportunity, declined to do the hard work of preparing our infrastructure of the past for a more volatile present. Our continued failure to properly and honestly price in externalities from a personal level to a federal level is just another way of declining to do the hard work. Now, this is the part where I'm tempted to write that Americans remain steadfast in the belief that defense wins championships. But the better sports metaphor is that our requirement for instant gratification means we're more than happy to trade away the farm for the shot at a single championship, blissfully ignoring backloaded contracts for the chance to celebrate under the lights right now, this season. And so I ask you, where do you see this happening in your own life? In your business, in your industry, in your town? Where do you keep paying cleanup costs instead of doubling down on prevention? America sends people to the emergency room instead of emphasizing wellness and providing ongoing health care. We keep paying for these devastating wildfire cleanups, mopping up what's left of towns and lives, instead of reducing our greatest sources of emissions and tending to our forests. We build seawalls instead of building trust with marginalized communities. We train hyper-specialized surgeons instead of training new data sets that are equitable and just. We struggle to stand up these vaccine distribution centers in lieu of building out the practical, predictive infectious disease modeling that the 21st century is perfectly capable of providing. We scramble to build new net zero business models that garner investor praise, but they rely on protecting forests that are already protected, and technology that, while alluring and potentially game-changing, is unproven and maybe unattainable. That's also we don't have to confront the hard work, reducing our impact wherever we can, whenever we can, as soon as we can. On the other hand, understandably scarred by decades of pennies on the dollar for necessary conservation work, we finally see a potentially enormous opening, and we shun investments in new technologies that could, and may need to, complement those same traditional proven efforts. Now, both things can be true, Absolutely, we have to throw everything at drawdown approved methods for reducing emissions, the whole list. We also know full well that any new technology cannot be proven or scaled without focused investment and support. And you can ask anybody who built and hosted their own servers before Amazon Web Services existed. Solar power was once a pipe dream. But in literally just like a decade, massively increased production and distribution, partnered with pretty limited subsidies, has made solar power in many places the cheapest form of power we have ever seen, and frequently available at costs, no exaggeration, 50 to 100 years ahead of the most informed estimates. Now that's what early investment does. That's what iterative work does. And it requires taking the long view. To do better means doing the measurably right thing right now, not only for you personally, but for your people, for all people. But it also means spending the time and money to build resiliency for a future you cannot predict. It means, yes, building an equitable defense that endures, building routines that evaluate what you're exposed to. But it also means going on offense. If you and your company can't see growth opportunities in the coming transformation, and not merely in the creation of new things, but in the necessary replacement of harmful old things with cleaner, more just alternatives, then you are not looking hard enough. And it shouldn't require the loss of 500,000 lives to a novel virus, or just as many to public health failures, or the loss of the effectiveness of everyday strep throat antibiotics to their own overuse, or a 401k to an archaic power sector, or towns to sea level rise, to all of this to spur us into action. It shouldn't take that, but here we are. But good news. It's really not that difficult to get started. Atul Gawande's checklist manifesto revolutionized hospital operating theaters, asking for basically just a minute of a team's time. You think COVID sucked? Simply refusing to prescribe antibiotics for diagnoses that don't explicitly require them could be one small, very important step towards a giant leap for holding off future pandemics born from antimicrobial resistance. We, you and me, people who give a shit, we can build a pipeline for new, well-paid public health workers that's self-reinforcing and adaptable. Just like you can take 5 minutes to both set up monthly donations to Conservation International and also to sign your company up for Stripe Climate, a ridiculously easy baby step towards scaling those unscalable new carbon removal technologies. We can build a new, equitable, and transparent aggregated data infrastructure that is constructed with both privacy and wellness as pillars. Just as you can make sure the suppliers you choose to work with are as committed to transparently reducing their footprint as you are. We can partner expanded Medicaid and Medicare programs with frontline redlined communities to make sure that equitable care is table stakes. Just as you can build new partnerships with other local businesses to host batteries, EV chargers, to rely on distributed solar. We can work to legalize psychedelics that could help stave off a monumental mental health care crisis. Just as you subsidize and make time for mental health wellness for yourself, for your family and your employees. We can take the advice of pragmatic experts who've been meticulously preparing for a decade or more to electrify our transmission lines, our utilities, our buildings, and our cars. Just as you can run for your local school board, to ensure that our public schools can nourish a more inclusive next generation of experts for our next set of problems and opportunities. We can do the hard work right now, in this moment, for past transgressions, and for the future. We can do better. Are you ready to get started? All right, folks. Last thing before we go, our new conversations are coming up. We're so excited about them. Get in now. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, rating and a review would go a long way to supporting us. Same thing for Overcast. Just tap that star button. You can do right there on your phone. And of course, we would love if you joined our community and subscribed to these episodes today, anywhere you listen. And of course, once again, you'll find plenty more awesome tools to fight for a better future, to give a shit at our website and in our newsletter at importantnotimportant.com. Thanks, everybody.